Welcome to the 2020 Global Peace Film Festival interview. My name is Kelly Devine. I'm the artistic director. Please join me and Nina Strike, the executive director, as we welcome Sam Bathrick and his special guests with the film 16 Bars. This film is currently available to purchase tickets on our website, which is peacefilmfest.org. The festival starts September 21st and runs through October 4th. And we have all of our programs available on our watch and event tab, so please do check them out. We're so pleased and honored to welcome Sam Bathrick, Sarah Scarborough, and retired Sheriff C.T. Woody with the film 16 Bars. So now let's start the interview.
Well, thank you. And thank you all for joining us. And Sam, would you tell us about the film? And also introduce your guests.
Sure. Well, my name's Sam Bathrick. I'm the director of the film 16 Bars. I'm here with Dr. Sarah Scarborough, who's the head of Real Life, and Sheriff C.T. Woody. These are the folks who are really the reason that we were able to make this film. And our film is a documentary that was shot in Richmond, Virginia over the course of, I don't know, between 1 and 2 years by the time we were done. But it really centers around a few weeks where Grammy winner named Speech from the group Arrested Development went into Sheriff C.T. Woody's jail and had the opportunity to work with inmates in a recording studio that was inside of this jail, the Richmond City Justice Center. And this is a program within the jail called the Real Program that really was working with, as the sheriff calls them, residents of the jail, not only on, I think the more traditional rehabilitation subjects like job training and vocational training, but also on mental health and on addiction. And one of the special things about this program was the recording studio inside the jail, which is what brought us there with our cameras and what brought Speech to make an album with these guys. So our film is really the process of the creative process of making the album, but it also really begins to tell the story of these 4 guys who are there in the jail at the time that Speech is there, and start, to zoom out and tell a bigger story about our criminal justice system, where we are right now, what some of the problems are, and maybe what some of the solutions are, like this program. Yeah, I think that's a little summary of the film itself.
And the film is very inspirational. So I'm really looking forward to everyone getting a chance to dip into it. And Sam, since we have these 2 wonderful people with us from the film, could you tell us a little bit about how you came to know about the story and the origins of it and why it was important for you to share it?
Yeah, definitely. Well, the Speech as an artist is someone that I got to know a number of years ago, and he and his manager had heard about the Richmond City Justice Center, about Sheriff C.T. Woody, because I think there was a story on CNN about some of the programming that was going on there. So over the course of a number of years, Speech and his manager were going back and forth with Sheriff Woody and Dr. Scarborough about doing some kind of a collaboration, but it was very open-ended. And, when we were brought in through Speech's team, the first question that you're sort of looking at as a documentary filmmaker is, what is the access going to be? And are we going to really be able to tell a unique story here? An institution like a jail, you would sort of not expect to be given access, or if it was access, you'd expect to be given only the access that they wanted you to have. And that was our first question, is are we being brought in to sort of make a little PR puff piece for the jail? And I think that's one of the most special things about this film, is just that because, and I won't speak for Sheriff C.T. Woody, but because he was already in the press talking about these issues around mental health, around the limitations of the justice system to really deal with a lot of the issues that are happening in the community. We were invited in to tell, I think, a deeper, more personal, and I hope true story that that challenges the system itself. And you know, just the fact that the sheriff of a major U.S. city was willing to let us do that, we kind of knew that was once in a lifetime. Um, so you know, I give the credit to you, Sheriff Woody, and to you, Dr. Scarborough, for creating the program, and then also allowing us to come in. And we were on day one sitting alone in jail cells with these guys. You know, there was no one over our shoulder sort of telling us what questions to ask or not. And I think the film speaks to that. It's real and raw because of that.
It does feel incredibly intimate. Sheriff C.T. Woody, can you tell us, you know, what drew you to allow these filmmakers in and to, you know, to be so transparent and so vulnerable yourself?
Well, I could see down the road that it was going to be great. I've always believed in second chances and living in a neighborhood where I've seen a lot of people arrested, a lot of people locked up, a lot of people doing time, and that continuous cycle of going in and coming out. And I believe in transparency, and these people needed help that have made bad decisions. And I also believe that we were arresting and locking up the wrong people, people that were sick, people that were addicted, people that needed help. And I just wanted to show hope and a vision for those that were in the jail that had a vision and had dreams, and let them continue with their dreams and their hope, along with helping them along the right path. And it happened thanks to the great help of Dr. Sarah Scarborough in dealing with individuals and how to treat them and to let them see that even inside of the jail, there's a better life ahead, because one day they are going to get out, and we want them better citizens instead of better criminals.
Well, Sheriff Woody, that's the respect that you showed all of the inmates, really, or the residents, even with the way that you call them residents. That's a lesson I think we all need to internalize so that we treat one another with more respect. So I thank you for that. And Dr. Scarborough, how did you get involved with Sheriff Woody, and how did you feel about being a part of the documentary?
I started with Sheriff Woody back in 2008. At that time, I was actually working on my dissertation for my PhD, and I researched one of the programs in his jail, looking at program effectiveness. And I worked on that for almost 5 years and found incredible outcomes, but also realized that this was a calling. In working in programming with folks incarcerated and recently released. And so after I finished my degree and my research, I just kept on going back to jail. Sheriff couldn't get rid of me, and finally he put me on payroll as his program director. And so I remained in the jail as program director from that time until the end of 2017. And so that was really what ignited my passion and such, and started programming there was based upon my research and the associated effectiveness that I was able to review. So being a part of this film was, it was awesome. You know, I was able to really showcase the work that was done within the jail, what the sheriff allowed us to do, and have it told in such a beautiful way that Sam and his crew put it together in this documentary, and just have it be really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the program and for the folks in it.
So Sam, let me turn to you. Oftentimes when we talk to documentary filmmakers, they tell us about how they approach the subject possibly with one set of expectations about where the story would go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not always where the story goes. So can you tell us a little bit about what you learned, what surprised you?
Yeah, well, for sure. And I think that it is one of the universal parts of especially documentary filmmaking. You go in with an idea of what you're going to do, and if you're doing it right, it probably changes more than once. For me, I mean, I had limited exposure to a lot of the issues that our film explores. And so, in a way, and without giving out too much of what the film is like, in a way, the film sort of unveils itself in the same way that it unveiled itself to us.
Mhm.
I think we started, from a pretty optimistic point of view, and it's like there's great music being made in this great studio, and these guys are, you know, you get to know them, and you instantly, pretty pretty instantly, I think whatever preconceived notions you have of them kind of fall away, and you realize you're just in a room with another human being with a story. Um, but that second layer of what they're going through, that's their past, that's their present, from the trauma of what's happened to them to how do you come out of jail or prison and re-enter society. I think that's the part that we just didn't even know, that our film was really going to be about that. And, you know, at one point, Sarah said to me early on, you know, there might not be a happy ending here. And I think I said, okay, well then as long as we're telling the truth, you know. So I think early on we kind of had the blinders pulled back a little bit, and say we're probably not telling a Hollywood story here. Um, but we all were sort of concerned mainly with just being able to tell the truth about what was really going on for these guys.
I think you really accomplished that. It really does show the authenticity of the stories. Global Peace Film Festival at its heart is an organization committed to inspiring positive change. And we hope that, you know, people watch films like 16 Bars and they either see a model or they see a moment of inspiration that they can take back into their personal lives, back into their communities. So Dr. Scarborough and Sheriff Woody, could you talk a little bit about the, you know, what you would say to people who, what you would hope they would take away and, you know, back into their hearts and back into their communities after seeing this film?
One thing I would say, it was very important to let them know that how important it is for them to believe in themselves, and that to learn how to know themselves as well as learning how to beat the system. And what I mean by beating the system is staying out of jail. uh,
Mhm.
Trying not to complete that same circle of coming in and going out. And that sure, you're going to make mistakes, but you learn from them, you grow from them, just don't make the same mistake twice. To keep the faith and the importance of family and communication, and to be honest with oneself.
Thank you. Dr. Scarborough.
Kind of looking at the other side of things, you know, I think that the film does a wonderful job showing the human side and the humanity that's behind bars that so many people don't understand. They think that the folks behind jails are monsters and, you know, things that maybe is portrayed in movies that are just not realistic. And so, you know, Sam and his crew did such a beautiful job showing that they are humans. And when I was researching in the jail, that's something that I had a unique opportunity to also see. And so, but I'm one person in one jail, and how often does that happen? But the film, you know, is now being seen internationally. And so I really hope that people take that away, that they realize that the men and women behind bars, you know, some of them have done really heinous things and probably will never change, but that's not the majority. And as Sheriff Woody mentioned earlier, 95% of folks incarcerated in America are going to be released. And so providing opportunities for them for when they do get released to be that better citizen and not better criminal is absolutely key for safer communities and just better round living conditions for everybody. You know, putting men and women back in the lives of their children as parents as they were intended to be. And then, you know, further, more tangible, consider maybe renting to somebody that has a criminal record or maybe not so great credit, especially if they've had proper programming. You know, consider to give somebody an opportunity in employment that maybe has some barriers to employment, such as a criminal record or spotty work history. But it's these things that can really be done to make change.
Thank you.
That's terrific. Thank you so much. So can you each tell us what's next for you, and also how can our audiences support each of your work?
Sure. Well, at Resonant Pictures, you know, we have a real focus on storytelling, and you know, this film has been a big part of our lives for a number of years, and will continue to be. So, you know, while we're doing film festivals like this, we also have a real impact campaign going on that's about getting this film in traditional and non-traditional theaters. So, you know, we're doing screenings in jails, we're doing screenings in schools, we're doing screenings in re-entry organizations, and you know, I'll finish answering the question, but I also want to say, you know, since we've finished this film, a lot has changed, and Dr. Scarborough has now really moved her efforts to these to the real houses that are outside of the jail, which appear in the film at some point, to really meeting these returning citizens where they are, and providing resources and support and structure for them when they get out. And so, you know, I think, you know, for us, we want this film to be a part of what people like that are seeing when they're getting out, to offer them hope, to offer them, you know, a conversation starter. I think that's really what we're trying to do as filmmakers, and in a way, it's what Dr. Scarborough is trying to do as well, is just keep this conversation going and advance it from us in society. Understanding again that, you know, if you're an employer, to consider actually, you know, hiring someone with a record, and if you are a returning citizen, to consider that there are people who are there to support you, and to seek them out, and as Sheriff Woody said, to believe in yourself. So for us, what's next is to continue to get the film out there to as many people as possible. And, you know, we're always looking to find what the next story we're going to tell is, and in a way it finds you. So we will keep pointing our cameras when it does.
Hopefully that'll bring you back to Richmond, Sam.
There's a lot of amazing stories in Richmond. I mean, this statue thing that's going on there is quite remarkable.
Oh, yes.
Different story.
Yes. Yeah.
And Sheriff Woody, yes, tell us what's next for you.
Well, for next for me, I'm still involved in community work. I want to continue to work with this great program, Real Life. It's a fantastic documentary that was put together. It's for real. It's keeping it real with life as it is. With everyone has talents, everyone has gifts, but you got to work at it. You got to continue to believe in yourself. You got to continue to educate yourself, and you got to continue to realize, most of all, that you are somebody, and nobody's better than you. But at the same time, nobody's going to give you anything. You have to work for it. Spread some love, and how important it is for our youth and the community to be proactive instead of reactive. And that's why great programs like the Real program is. What the real deal is, we're trying to prevent people from coming into the jail. treat them before they come there instead of treating them after they get there. And that's why my involvement is so important in working with the youth and working with the communities, and I will continue to do so.
Thank you.
Wonderful. And Sarah, how about you?
Well, as I mentioned, I left the jail at the end of 2017, which was definitely a bittersweet, but real life had really expanded in the community. And so in the film, you see one of the men, Devontae, at our recovery house. And the film just happened to be going on when we literally had our grand opening for that house. That was in April of 2017. And we have 5 houses now. Just August, due to COVID and everything going on, the need is just skyrocketing, and our waiting list for folks to come into housing is so incredible. So we have 2 for men, 3 for women, and we operate out of a community center in downtown Richmond that's designed to be like a one-stop shop for what somebody needs to overcome adversities, primarily from former incarceration, homelessness, and or battling a substance use disorder. We do still continue some internal jail programming in Virginia's jails and prisons. And then we have a workforce development program as well as a program for women who are pregnant or have young children. So we have really grown and expanded quite significantly since the film. But, you know, we're just continuing to really try to raise to the level and raise to the occasion of what the need is. So if anybody wants to get involved, we have many different ways to include, of course, financial support, because we are a traditional nonprofit. We don't charge folks to come into the program, which makes us very different. So any of that support is very warmly welcomed, of course.
Oh, that's fantastic. And thank you all for sharing your thoughts, your insights, and for your generosity of spirit. I think it's really going to come through. And thank everyone who's watched this interview. If you want to learn more about 16 Bars, for instance, go to 16barsthefilm.com. And if you want to, as Dr. Scarborough was alluding to, if you want to support this important work of helping returning citizens to transition back, to help homeless folks, folks battling addiction, all of those things, please go to reallifeprogram.org and learn all about that work being done in Richmond, which is, we hope, will not only continue there, but also be a model that other people will pick up because it's fantastic work. And please remember, if you want to ask the filmmaker a question that we didn't cover today, on our website, peacefilmfest.org, we've set up a Google form called Submit a Filmmaker Question. It's very simple. You just need the title of the film, your question, your name, and your email, and we'll connect you so that that conversation can continue. Again, the festival begins September 21st and runs through October the 4th. Tickets are presently on sale. Go to our watch tabs and event tabs and find out all about the programming. And again, thank you. We'll see you at the festival.